Namaste. Happiness. Lasting happiness. What is it? And more importantly, what is collective happiness? And what is individual happiness? Can a government system create happiness in you? And can you experience happiness even inside an oppressive system? We're going to talk about all of that because unless we understand the difference between external happiness and inner happiness, we'll keep chasing the wrong things. So in this video, I'm going to show you something very real and very practical. And I'm going to prove to you that the one thing that can give you happiness is power over your thoughts. Power over your thoughts is the only real path to lasting happiness. And I'm not saying it as a motivation. I'm going to show you how Vedic wisdom explains it, how modern happiness data reflects it, and what you can actually do about it. Let's start with collective happiness. Modern society measures happiness through things like income security, healthcare, education, safety, trust in the institution, freedom of choice, social support. That's why countries like Finland, Denmark, Iceland, and Sweden rank high. In my research, even Israel was listed in the top 5 happiest countries from 2018 to 2025. How is that possible? Well, according to the Western scale of happiness, apparently it's possible. And we'll talk about that later on. When people don't fear poverty, don't fear violence, and trust their systems, their collective anxiety decreases. And when anxiety decreases, people report higher life satisfaction. So, collective happiness is about external conditions that reduce fear. And of course, it matters. It improves quality of life. But it does not guarantee inner peace because even in the happiest countries, individuals still struggle with depression, struggle with loneliness, and meaninglessness, which means external comfort is helpful, but not sufficient. And then there are surprising cases. Like I mentioned, Israel, for example, often appears high on the Western happiness rankings. You can check it out. And for many people who are aware of the suffering in Palestine, this creates a very uncomfortable question. How can a society report high happiness while there is visible injustice and conflict in the region. This tells us something important about these so-called happiness reports. Speaking of happiness reports, you're probably asking now that if this wisdom comes from the Vedas, why is India not on the list? Because modern India is dealing with real external pressures. Economic inequality, population density, survival stress for many. See, when basic needs are uncertain and the mind becomes restless. The Vedas were never a national happiness program. They were a manual for inner mastery. Wherever the mind is trained, happiness increases. No matter which country, in any country. Wherever it is not trained, suffering increases. The Western happiness reports, they measure internal satisfaction within a population. Things like social stuff, economic support, community strength. If a group's internal needs are taken care of, their reported happiness can be high. Even in a tense geopolitical environment like Israel. And that doesn't resolve the moral problems of Israel, does it? It shows that these measurements are about conditions. It's not about ultimate peace. So, collective happiness is structural. It depends on systems, policies, economics. It depends on social trust. Now, let's contrast that with what the Vedas says. According to the Vedic tradition, real happiness, Ananda, is not an external pleasure. It's your natural state. It is the nature of the Atman. It does not come from objects. It doesn't come from status. It does not come from perfect circumstances. It is revealed when the mind becomes quiet. So, Vedic happiness is intrinsic. It's not conditional. There are a few key ideas here in the Vedas. 5 states of being that creates increased happiness or lasting happiness. First is Ananda. Bliss is your original state. It's not something you have to create. It's something that you have to uncover. The second idea is the idea of Shanti, inner peace. That's the mind that is not constantly pulled by desire or fear. It's balanced in success and failure. The third one is called Vairagya, non-dependence on external objects, not running behind every pleasure. The fourth is Dharma, living in alignment with your deeper truth. And finally, Moksha, freedom from the cycle of craving and suffering. That is the Vedic definition of happiness. Not excitement or temporary pleasure, but stable inner peace. So now we have two models. Collective happiness, that is based on external systems. Individual Vedic happiness, based on the mastery of the mind. One can support comfort, the other gives liberation. And this is where the Chariot example from the Vedas makes it clear. It says that your body is the chariot. Your soul, Atman, is the passenger. Your intellect, Buddhi, is the charioteer. Your mind, Manas, is the reins. And your senses are the horses. And the world is the road. So beautifully put. If the reins are loose and the charioteer is distracted, the horses run wild. Pleasure, fear, anger, comparison happens. The chariot shakes, meaning the body shakes. The passenger suffers. The Atman suffers. That is an uncontrolled mind. And that is unhappiness. Now imagine if the reins are steady, then the charioteer is alert and the horses are disciplined. Same road, same world, whether the world is chaotic or not, whether the politics is chaotic or not, the journey inside is peaceful. So happiness is not on the road, it's not the political system, it is in how the chariot is driven. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, the mind is restless and difficult to control, like the wind. But he also says it can be trained through practice and non-attachment. I want to share with you a very practical technique that I learned years ago from Swami Nityananda. It's called Unclutching. And it's not a meditation technique, but it's a technique. A technique means you can and you must use it consciously. And this unclutching technique is very powerful. It helps you to have power over your thoughts. Let me explain. You see, the mind suffers not because thoughts arise. The mind suffers because we connect one thought to another and we create a chain. One worry leads to another. One memory leads to another. One fear leads to another. And we have a habit of connecting these thoughts and going on a never-ending spiral. This is called unhappiness. Unclutching means you stop connecting them. It's like pressing the clutch in a car. The engine may spin, but the wheels stop moving. Thoughts may arise, but they don't move you. They don't touch you. And it's not avoiding conflicts. No, but separating one thought and linking them to the next thought, disastrous thought. And here is the guided practice of unclutching from Swami Nityananda. He said, let thoughts come in. Don't stop them. Just watch them. A thought appears. Let it end. Do not continue it. Do not use your mind to go to the past and try to link it to another thought. Do not use your mind to go to the future and try to link it to another future thought. Let it end. For example, let's say you just attended an interview and you did not get the job. Now, put that thought in a bubble and don't link it to the past interviews that you've had and did not get that job. And don't link it to the future interviews and think it's also going to be bad. Don't link it and make it like an ongoing saga. Another thought appears. Again, observe it and let it end. You are the watcher. No judgment, no suppression, no reaction. Just no connection to the thoughts before or after. This is unclutching. At first, the mind will try to pull you into stories. So come back to watching. You will start noticing a small gaps between these thoughts. Very small, but very peaceful. Stay there. That gap is Ananda, peace. Not excitement, just a quiet bliss. You can practice this while walking. You can practice this while you're working, while talking. This is happening all the time. You just stop connecting thoughts. This technique is very powerful. It's simple, but powerful. Once you start consciously using it. The unclutching technique taught by Swami Nityananda. So now we come to the real understanding. Collective happiness can improve your environment. It can reduce fear. It can support well-being. But only mastery over your thoughts gives you unshakable happiness. You can be peaceful in difficult times if your mind is trained. You can be restless in a perfect system if your mind is not trained. That is the difference. You see, you cannot control the world. You cannot control governments. You cannot control people. But you can hold the reins. You can unclutch from your thoughts. And when the mind becomes your friend, the same life becomes peaceful. That is real happiness. And it begins the moment you stop believing every thought. And then you start watching them instead. Namaste.